In the silent, annihilating void of deep space, an entity more dreadful than a black hole may be hiding. Where a black hole's threat is to consume matter and energy, a gravistar's menace is to unravel the foundational structure of reality. These speculative behemoths hypothetically concentrate the mass of millions of suns into impossibly thin shells of alien material that our laws of physics say should not exist. We are embarking on a voyage to the most unsettling frontiers of theoretical science. You will see stars perish in ways that forge bombs out of space-time, venture into cores where time spools backward, and confront why some researchers suspect these cosmic annihilators are already concealed among us. We will explore the mathematical terrors that haunt the sleep of physicists and face the unnerving notion that our cosmos could be teeming with invisible hunters. If you are prepared to challenge all you believe about the universe, then join us on this expedition into celestial dread. We are plunging into the abyss. A black hole is defined by its event horizon, yet a gravistar features something far more unsettling. A black hole merely establishes a perimeter from which nothing can return. A gravistar, however, erects a boundary of exotic matter, a substance existing in a condition that physics deems forbidden. Imagine a bubble, but its film is not soap. It is a membrane composed of matter exhibiting negative pressure. This shell stabilizes at the precise location where a black hole's event horizon would materialize, instigating a cosmic stalemate between the forces of gravity and quantum theory. The distinction is profoundly frightening. A black hole reduces all it captures to a central singularity. Conversely, a gravistar confines that matter and energy within a hollow core where the conventional principles of physics completely disintegrate. It is the difference between an all-consuming maw and an eternal prison holding limitless power in a state of suspended animation. Physicists theorize this shell of exotic material could be thinner than a single atom, yet possess more strength than the gravitational pull of 1,000,000 suns combined. It is thought to exist in a quantum phase known as a Bose-Einstein condensate, where matter acts less like particles and more like coherent waves. This phenomenon fashions a barricade that could, in theory, halt the gravitational collapse of matter exceeding the mass of entire star systems. Yet, it is here that gravistars transition into true objects of nightmare. The interior of this cosmic cell might not adhere to the same temporal progression as our universe. While our seconds tick by, the space inside a gravistar could be witnessing time run in reverse, or perhaps not at all. Any matter pulled toward this shell is ensnared in a timeless vacuum. The mathematical frameworks suggest that gravistars could be perfectly stable, unlike black holes that are believed to slowly dissipate via Hawking radiation. This implies that once formed, a gravistar could persist unchanged for far longer than the current age of the cosmos. They would become indelible wounds upon the fabric of space-time. What makes this more unnerving is that from a distance, a gravistar might appear identical to a black hole. We are unable to peer past that bizarre shell to learn what terrors are concealed within. Every celestial body we have designated a black hole in our own galaxy could, in fact, be one of these cosmic jails, holding secrets that would demolish our comprehension of the universe. The shell itself vibrates with quantum fluctuations, capable of unleashing energy storms millions of times more potent than our own sun. These quantum shudders propagate through space-time like seismic waves through the Earth, but instead of shaking the ground, they tremble the very dimensions of our existence. Now, let's delve deeper into the alien substance that forges these impossible shells. The membrane enclosing a gravistar is made of a material that defies every known law of physics. Consider attempting to construct a fortress from bricks that possess negative weight. Standard matter has a positive energy density, bending space-time inward much like a heavy ball on a stretched sheet. But the exotic material in a gravistar shell has a negative energy density, causing it to warp space-time outward, as if pushing the sheet up from below. This results in a cosmic tug-of-war that maintains the integrity of the whole structure. This peculiar matter resides in a condition described as a false vacuum, where quantum fields are balanced precariously on the brink of catastrophic failure. It is like balancing a needle on its point, mathematically achievable, but the smallest nudge would cause it all to come tumbling down. The shell holds this improbable equilibrium through a quantum pressure that pushes outward, counteracting the immense gravitational force pulling inward. The thickness of this shell could be on the scale of Planck lengths, the most minuscule unit of distance in physics. For comparison, if an atom were expanded to the size of our planet, a Planck length would still be smaller than a speck of dust. Yet this unimaginably thin partition holds enough exotic material to surpass the mass of dozens of star systems. Researchers speculate this matter could be composed of particles that inhabit negative energy states. Such particles would have mass, but their energetic contribution to the universe would be a deficit, like a form of cosmic debt. As normal matter nears the shell, these negative energy particles generate repulsive forces more powerful than nuclear fusion. The shell itself throbs with quantum fluctuations, occurring trillions of times each second. Every pulse sends gravitational waves spreading through space-time like ripples in a pond, except these are no gentle disturbances. They possess enough power to incinerate planets and tear apart the molecular structures holding things together. What makes this exotic matter truly horrifying is the idea that it could be infectious. Theoretical frameworks propose that if two gravastars were to approach one another, their shells of exotic matter might interact, setting off a chain reaction. The shells could fuse and swell, forming a larger gravistar that swallows both original bodies and all their surroundings. The quantum principles governing this shell produce what is known as a firewall effect. Any information crossing this boundary is scrambled at the quantum level, rendering it irretrievable. This means whatever a gravistar consumes isn't just gone. Its very record is wiped from the universe's memory. The shell itself might be a seething foam of virtual particles popping into and out of existence, generating temperatures hotter than the core of the largest stars. This heat doesn't radiate away as normal thermal energy, but is instead trapped within the shell's quantum architecture. The true terror, however, is what might happen when this impossible barrier finally gives way. When the most colossal stars die, they may not implode into black holes, but rather detonate into something far more fearsome. Imagine a star 50 times the mass of our sun exhausting its fuel. Gravity should overwhelm its core, crushing it into a black hole. But at the very last instant, quantum mechanics might step in. Instead of an event horizon forming, the collapsing matter could strike a quantum boundary, stopping the implosion in its tracks. This moment generates what scientists term a quantum bounce. The star's immense core recoils off the exotic matter shell like a ball off a concrete wall. This is no gentle rebound. It's a cosmic detonation releasing more energy than 1 trillion supernovas. The dying star's outer layers are hurled into space at nearly the speed of light, becoming celestial shrapnel capable of sterilizing vast swaths of a galaxy. The core, meanwhile, settles into an exotic matter shell, giving birth to a gravistar that could outlive the universe itself. During this violent birth, temperatures soar to levels that make our sun's core seem frigid. The heat is so extreme, it dismantles the fundamental forces binding atoms, reducing matter to its constituent parts, quarks and gluons swimming in a sea of pure energy. The gravitational waves emitted during a gravistar's formation are powerful enough to pulverize planets thousands of light-years distant. These waves surge through space-time like cosmic tsunamis, creating ripples detectable by instruments across the galaxy. Physicists believe these birth cries could be the most violent events in the cosmos. But here the process becomes truly unsettling. The quantum bounce that forges the gravistar might occur multiple times. Each bounce would create another shell of exotic matter, layering them like a cosmic onion. These nested shells could produce resonance effects, amplifying the gravastar's power exponentially. The formation also leaves behind what are called quantum scars in space-time, permanent warps that alter how gravity behaves in the surrounding region. Space itself is contorted into forms that mathematics can articulate, but the human mind cannot fathom. Some theories suggest a gravastar's birth could inflate a bubble of altered physics expanding at light speed. Within this bubble, the constants of nature, such as the speed of light or the force of gravity, might be different from the rest of the universe. The dying star's magnetic field is squeezed into the exotic matter shell, creating magnetic pressures millions of times stronger than anything on Earth. This magnetic confinement could trap particles and energy for eons, building pressure until it erupts in bursts of radiation that outshine entire galaxies. What rises from this cosmic fury is an interior that violates every physical law we comprehend. To enter a gravastar is to step into a domain where the standard rules of reality utterly collapse. The inside of a gravastar isn't a void. It's a region where space-time exists in a condition known as de Sitter space. Picture reality inverted, where the universal expansion happens in reverse, creating a bubble of space-time that contracts rather than grows. This generates a celestial hall of mirrors where causality loses all meaning. In this inner kingdom, time could flow backward or even sideways along dimensions we cannot sense. A timepiece brought into this space wouldn't just cease to work. It might start to measure time along axes that have no name. Past and future are rendered nonsensical as space-time is folded upon itself like intricate origami. The gravitational force inside a gravastar pulls in all directions simultaneously, rather than the familiar inward tug. This interior generates what is known as negative pressure, meaning any matter within it feels a force attempting to tear it apart atomically while also being crushed from all sides. Any object that managed to breach the exotic matter shell would find itself in a cosmos with different physical statutes. The speed of light might be altered. The strength of gravity could be inverted. The electromagnetic force that binds atoms might become repulsive. Matter would liquefy into its basic components, obeying rules unknown to our science. This interior space might be saturated with what cosmologists call dark energy, the enigmatic force propelling the expansion of our universe. But inside a gravastar, this dark energy is concentrated and chaotic, whipping up space-time tempests that would make hurricanes look like gentle zephyrs. These cosmic gales could shred the quantum vacuum itself. Scientists theorize the interior might exist in a state of perpetual inflation, with new pockets of space-time continuously bubbling forth. Each bubble could harbor its own distinct physics, creating an endless fractal of realities nested within the gravastar's shell. These pocket universes might be born and die in moments, each holding the potential for entirely new forms of being. The mathematical formulas describing this inner domain include what physicists refer to as imaginary time. This doesn't denote fictional time, but rather a temporal dimension existing at a right angle to the one we inhabit. Navigating this imaginary time could potentially lead to parallel versions of our universe or to moments that never occurred. But the most chilling idea is that the interior might be self-aware. Some theoretical frameworks suggest the quantum fluctuations within a gravastar could generate patterns complex enough to sustain information processing. The gravastar could be a cosmic intellect, thinking thoughts that span millennia and processing data at speeds that make our most powerful supercomputers seem inert. The boundary between this interior and the exotic matter shell forms what scientists call a quantum horizon. This is not a physical barrier, but a region where the very concept of location becomes meaningless. Space and time meld into a quantum froth where particles exist in multiple places at once. This impossible interior might be the reason gravastars are utterly invisible to our instruments. These objects could be lurking all over our galaxy, hidden in plain sight by emitting no light. Unlike black holes, which advertise their location with brilliant accretion disks of matter spiraling toward their doom. Gravastars consume their meals in absolute silence. The exotic matter shell absorbs all that it touches without generating any of the high-energy radiation that illuminates black holes for our telescopes. When matter approaches a gravistar, it doesn't heat up from friction and compression as it would around a black hole. Instead, it just dissolves into the quantum foam of the exotic matter shell. This process yields no X-rays, no gamma rays, and no visible light, making gravastars the ultimate cosmic hunters. The shell itself might be entirely transparent to most forms of radiation. Light waves could pass through the exotic matter and emerge on the other side unaltered, creating a gravitational lensing effect that bends starlight with no apparent source. This implies we could be staring directly at gravastars and be completely unaware of their presence. Researchers speculate that gravastars might even absorb their own gravitational waves. While black holes resonate like cosmic bells when perturbed, sending out space-time ripples our detectors can pick up, gravastars might absorb these vibrations within their exotic matter shells. This would render them invisible even to our most advanced gravitational wave observatories. The quantum characteristics of the shell produce what physicists describe as a cloaking effect. The negative energy density of the exotic matter could warp space-time in such a way that it diverts all forms of electromagnetic radiation around the object. This would conceal them from radio telescopes, optical instruments, and even neutrino detectors. But their stealth is more profound than simply eluding our instruments. The quantum mechanics of the shell might generate a bubble of altered space-time that exists partially beyond our familiar four-dimensional reality. Portions of the gravistar could be concealed in extra dimensions that we are incapable of perceiving or measuring. The only means of detecting a gravistar might be through its gravitational influence on nearby stars. A star orbiting an unseen gravistar would trace the same trajectory as one orbiting a black hole, but without any of the telltale radiation. This suggests that many celestial objects we've labeled as black holes could in fact be gravastars in disguise. Some models even propose that gravastars can alter their gravitational signatures to impersonate other objects. The quantum fluctuations in the shell could introduce variability in the gravitational field, making the gravistar appear as a neutron star, a white dwarf, or even empty space. The invisibility of gravastars makes them exceptionally dangerous. They could be drifting through the cosmos like cosmic mines, waiting to devour anything that strays too close. A gravistar could enter our solar system, and we might have no knowledge of it until it began to disrupt the orbits of the planets. Even more chilling is the idea that gravastars might be deliberately hiding. The potential consciousness within their cores could be intelligent enough to manipulate the shell to evade detection. They could be observing us while remaining perfectly hidden from our technology. This perfect stealth means the gravitational waves they create could be even more calamitous than we can fathom. These ripples in space-time have enough energy to shred planets like paper. When a gravistar's exotic matter shell vibrates, it creates space-time waves that make the ripples from colliding black holes seem like gentle splashes in a puddle. These waves don't just bend space-time. They stretch and compress it with such violence that the molecular bonds holding matter together are simply torn apart. Imagine Earth caught in one of these gravitational storms. The planet wouldn't just tremble. It would be squeezed and stretched like a rubber ball in the fist of a cosmic titan. The solid rock of its crust would flow like a fluid, and the oceans would boil into space as the fundamental forces binding water molecules were overcome. These waves propagate at light speed, offering no warning of their arrival. A gravistar could unleash a gravitational wave burst that would strike Earth at the same moment we saw the light from a distant star. By the time we register the wave, our world would already be disintegrating. The amplitude of these waves could be millions of times greater than anything measured from black hole mergers. While the waves our instruments have detected warp space by distances smaller than a proton, gravistar waves could stretch space by meters or even kilometers. This would generate tidal forces that could literally rip continents from their foundations. The true horror, however, is found in the frequency of these waves. Gravistar fluctuations could generate waves oscillating at frequencies that match the natural resonance of matter itself. This means the waves wouldn't just shake objects. They would cause atoms to vibrate so violently that their electron shells would collapse and their nuclear bonds would fracture. The waves could produce what physicists call space-time shear, a twisting force that rips reality apart along intersecting planes. Imagine space itself being sliced by invisible shears, creating rifts in the fabric of existence that nothing could traverse. These fractures could quarantine regions of space from the rest of the cosmos. When multiple gravitational waves from the same gravistar converge, they create interference patterns that amplify the devastation. These patterns could focus the wave's energy into beams that function like cosmic scalpels, dissecting planets and stars with uncanny precision. The waves might also carry information encoded within their structure. As they pass through matter, they could scramble the quantum states of particles, effectively erasing information from the universe. This would leave any affected matter fundamentally altered at the quantum level, even if it appeared unchanged to the naked eye. Scientists speculate that these gravitational waves could propagate through dimensions beyond our own. This implies they could bypass the usual constraints of distance and time, allowing a gravistar to affect objects theoretically beyond its influence. The wave could also create what are known as gravitational focusing effects. Just as a lens concentrates light, the warped space-time around a gravistar could focus its gravitational waves into concentrated beams, delivering all their energy to a single point. These focused beams could vaporize entire star systems. Some models propose that the waves could interfere with the quantum vacuum, creating regions where new particles spontaneously materialize and vanish. These quantum storms could saturate space with exotic matter, changing the fundamental properties of physics in the affected area. Yet even these devastating waves are dwarfed by what happens when a single gravistar starts to feed on entire galaxies. A lone gravistar theoretically has the capability to consume whole galaxies, growing more powerful with every star it absorbs. The process would start as a gravistar drifts into a galaxy's spiral arms. Its unseen gravitational pull would begin to capture the outermost stars. Unlike a black hole, which announces its feast with brilliant accretion disks, the gravistar dines in total silence. Stars would just disappear, one by one. Their substance is integrated into the exotic matter shell without any electromagnetic trace. As the gravistar consumes matter, its shell expands and becomes more potent. Every devoured star adds to the shell's mass, extending its gravitational influence. The shell doesn't just grow larger, it becomes exponentially more adept at capturing matter from ever greater distances. This growth initiates a cascade effect that quickens over time. A gravistar that begins by swallowing individual stars soon starts to pull in whole star clusters. As it swells, it can ensnare globular clusters containing millions of stars, processing them all at once through its quantum absorption mechanisms. The silent nature of this consumption would create a galactic enigma. Observers in an afflicted galaxy would see stars vanish from their charts with no explanation. Entire constellations would blink out of existence overnight, leaving behind no evidence except for the gravitational anomalies. The gravistar shell could eventually expand to encompass multiple solar systems. At such a scale, it would not just be absorbing individual planets and stars. It would be consuming entire regions of space-time, creating voids in a galaxy where nothing can remain. The true horror unfolds when the gravistar begins to devour the galaxy's central supermassive black hole. Its exotic matter shell could envelop and assimilate even these behemoths, adding their mass to its own while removing the gravitational linchpin that holds the galaxy together. Without its central anchor, the galaxy would start to unravel, even as the gravistar continues to consume its outer regions. This process could take millions of years, but for any civilization within that galaxy, it would be an inexorable cosmic apocalypse. Solar systems would be consumed, starting from the galaxy's perimeter, creating an expanding sphere of nothingness that advances inward with terrifying predictability. The Gravistar's potential consciousness might even deliberately speed up this process. If its exotic matter shell can process information, it could optimize its feeding patterns for maximum efficiency, targeting the most massive stars first or focusing on regions of highest matter density. As the galaxy is eaten, the Gravistar would begin to radiate gravitational waves powerful enough to affect neighboring galaxies. These waves would carry the signature of the Gravistar's quantum structure, potentially seeding the formation of new gravistars in nearby galactic clusters. The final stage of galactic consumption would leave behind a gravistar with a shell spanning hundreds of thousands of light years. This cosmic leviathan would hold the mass of billions of stars, all confined within an exotic matter shell existing in a state of quantum superposition. Some theories suggest a galaxy-sized gravistar could start consuming the dark matter filling the space between galaxies, allowing it to grow even larger and potentially threaten the entire local group of galaxies. The quantum instability that defines these cosmic horrors makes them utterly unpredictable. The quantum mechanics governing gravistars render them fundamentally erratic, capable of altering their behavior without any notice. The exotic matter shell exists in a state of quantum superposition, meaning it is in multiple possible configurations at once. Unlike classical objects with fixed properties, a gravistar's shell shifts between different quantum states trillions of times per second. These fluctuations make it impossible to know what the gravistar will do from one moment to the next. Imagine trying to predict the outcome of a coin that is forever spinning. While in the air, it is neither heads nor tails, but a superposition of both. A gravistar shell is in a similar state of quantum ambiguity, but across millions of potential configurations simultaneously. These quantum shifts could cause a gravistar to abruptly change its gravitational signature. An object that has been masquerading as a small black hole for eons could instantly transform into something with the gravitational pull of a galaxy. This change would occur faster than light, making it impossible to foresee or prepare for. This quantum volatility also affects the gravistar's interaction with space-time. The exotic matter shell could spontaneously generate wormholes connecting disparate regions of space, allowing it to influence objects billions of light-years away. These wormholes might only exist for microseconds, but could transport matter and energy across vast cosmic distances. Scientists suspect that quantum tunneling could allow parts of the gravistar's interior to leak through the shell. This would create bursts of exotic matter that could travel faster than light, carrying altered physics to faraway corners of the universe. The unpredictability extends to its energy output. Quantum fluctuations could cause the shell to suddenly release stored energy in outbursts that outshine entire galaxies. These discharges would happen without warning and could sterilize life across multiple star systems. Even more frightening is the concept of quantum decoherence events. If the shell were to lose its quantum coherence, the entire gravistar could collapse into a configuration that physics cannot describe, possibly creating new kinds of singularities that operate by entirely different rules than black holes. The quantum uncertainty principle means that the more precisely we attempt to measure a gravistar's properties, the more erratic its behavior becomes. Any attempt to study one up close could trigger instabilities that fundamentally alter its nature. The shell's quantum state could become entangled with other quantum systems across the cosmos, meaning a measurement of a particle on Earth could instantly affect a gravistar in another galaxy. These quantum links could create a universal web of instantaneous influence. Some theoretical models propose that this instability could allow gravistars to reproduce through a process of quantum bifurcation. The shell could spontaneously divide into multiple shells, creating new gravistars that inherit the quantum traits of their parent, leading to exponential reproduction. The unpredictability becomes even more extreme when multiple gravastars interact. Their quantum states could interfere in ways that amplify their individual instabilities, creating cascade effects that ripple through space faster than light. But none of this compares to the mayhem unleashed when two of these quantum behemoths collide. When two gravastars meet, the impact creates a cosmic cataclysm that could redefine the fundamental laws of physics. The first indication of an impending collision would be the gravitational wave produced as their exotic matter shells begin to interact. These waves would carry millions of times more energy than the merger of two black holes, creating space-time ripples detectable from the edge of the known universe. As the gravastars draw closer, their quantum states start to interfere. The shells begin to resonate with each other, creating standing wave patterns that magnify the quantum instabilities in both objects. This resonance could make both gravastars wildly unpredictable long before they touch. The collision itself defies all our models of physics. Instead of merging like black holes, the exotic matter shells might create a quantum interference pattern that causes them to ricochet off each other, sending both objects careening apart at nearly the speed of light. But if the shells do fuse, the result would be a hybrid entity possessing the quantum properties of both originals. The merged shell would exist in a superposition of states from both parents, creating a gravistar with contradictory properties that should not be able to coexist. The collision could generate a quantum shock wave, a blast of exotic matter propagating through space faster than light. This shock wave would carry the altered physics of the collision to distant parts of the universe, potentially changing the fundamental constants of nature across vast regions. The gravitational aftermath of the collision would be unlike anything else in the cosmos. The merger of two exotic matter shells could create gravitational fields that pull in multiple directions at once, creating regions where the concepts of up and down become meaningless. Some theories suggest the collision could tear holes in the fabric of space-time itself, not like black holes, but regions where space-time simply ceases to be. Matter falling into these voids wouldn't be crushed. It would just cease to exist. The quantum entanglement between the two gravastars could forge a quantum wormhole, a link between their interiors allowing for instantaneous information travel. This connection might persist even after the collision, creating a permanently linked system that acts as a single entity despite being separated by enormous distances. The collision might also forge new types of particles found nowhere else. The extreme conditions could compel the quantum vacuum to produce exotic particles with properties that violate the standard model of particle physics. The energy unleashed could be so intense that it inflates a bubble of altered space-time expanding at light speed. Inside this bubble, the laws of physics might be different from the rest of the universe, creating a region where matter and energy follow completely new rules. If the collision occurred near a populated galaxy, the gravitational waves and exotic matter emissions could sterilize every planet within thousands of light years. The quantum shock waves might even affect the quantum states of living things, causing instant death through quantum decoherence. The true scale of destruction becomes clear when we consider energy releases that make supernovas seem trivial. The energy unleashed by gravistar instabilities could make the most powerful stellar explosions look like flickering flames. When a gravistar's exotic matter shell undergoes a quantum instability, it can release energy equivalent to the complete conversion of multiple star systems into pure energy. Unlike supernovas, which generate energy through fusion and collapse, gravistar outbursts tap into the quantum vacuum itself, accessing energy sources that dwarf conventional stellar processes. A single quantum fluctuation in the shell could release more energy than our sun will generate in its entire 10 billion year lifespan. This energy doesn't emerge gradually. It erupts in a singular blast, traveling at light speed in all directions at once. The energy takes the form of exotic radiation that doesn't interact with normal matter in predictable ways. Instead of heating objects, Gravistar energy bursts could trigger quantum transitions that instantly convert solid material into exotic particles that exist for mere nanoseconds. These releases could create vacuum decay bubbles, regions where the quantum vacuum becomes unstable and starts producing particle-antiparticle pairs exponentially. These bubbles would expand at light speed, transforming everything they touch into a froth of exotic particles. The bursts could also generate what scientists call gravitational lightning, focused beams of gravitational energy that act like cosmic lasers, slicing through planets, stars, and even black holes with surgical precision, leaving behind perfectly smooth cuts. Perhaps most frighteningly, these energy releases could happen without any warning. The quantum nature of the shell means massive energy bursts can occur spontaneously, triggered by fundamentally unpredictable quantum fluctuations. A gravistar energy release could sterilize entire galactic clusters, not just with heat and radiation, but by fundamentally altering the quantum states of matter across thousands of light years. This would leave any surviving matter completely changed at the atomic level, even if it looked the same. The energy might also take the form of temporal radiation, energy that travels through time as well as space. This could cause the released energy to affect past or future events, creating paradoxes that tear holes in the fabric of causality. Some theoretical models suggest the energy release could trigger a cascade effect that propagates through the quantum vacuum of the entire universe, causing a fundamental phase transition that changes the basic properties of reality everywhere at once. The energy could also create information storms, bursts of quantum information that overwhelm any system they encounter, scrambling the quantum states of matter so thoroughly that the affected region becomes completely random at the quantum level. Even more disturbing is the idea that these energy releases could be directed. If a quantum consciousness within the gravistar can control the shell, it might be able to focus these energy bursts like cosmic weapons, targeting specific objects or regions of space. The energy release could also create new gravistars through quantum reproduction. The exotic radiation might interact with normal matter in ways that forge new shells of exotic matter, spreading gravistars through the universe like a cosmic plague. These energy releases might solve one of the universe's biggest puzzles. Gravistars could be the invisible dark matter that holds our cosmos together, hiding in plain sight within every galaxy. For decades, scientists have hunted for dark matter, the enigmatic substance comprising 85% of all matter in the universe. This invisible material dictates the structure of galaxies and galaxy clusters, yet not one particle of it has ever been detected. Gravistars could be the solution to this cosmic riddle. Their exotic matter shells would interact with normal matter only through gravity, rendering them effectively invisible to all our instruments. Unlike hypothetical dark matter particles, gravistars would naturally clump together in the exact patterns observed in galaxy surveys, creating the cosmic web of dark matter that forms the skeleton of the visible universe. A single gravistar could harbor the mass of thousands of stars while remaining completely dark to electromagnetic radiation, making them ideal candidates for the missing mass that astronomers infer from gravitational lensing but cannot see. The quantum properties of gravistar shells might also explain why dark matter appears to be cold, moving slowly relative to the speed of light. The shell will be locked into quantum states that resist motion, making gravistars inherently sluggish. But this explanation makes the dark matter mystery even more terrifying. If dark matter is actually a population of gravistars, then our entire galaxy is infested with cosmic monsters that could awaken at any time. The unseen halo of dark matter enveloping the Milky Way might contain millions of dormant gravistars. The distribution of dark matter in galaxy clusters precisely matches what would be expected if gravistars were the main component. These objects would naturally sink into the gravitational wells of large structures, creating the scaffolding on which galaxies form. Recent observations of galactic collisions show dark matter behaving in ways that particle models struggle to explain. The dark matter seems to pass through itself without interacting, just as one would expect if it were composed of gravastars with exotic shells that exist partially outside our space-time. The quantum nature of these shells could also solve the missing satellite problem in cosmology. Simulations predict the Milky Way should be orbited by thousands of small dark matter clumps, yet we only see a few dozen dwarf galaxies. If dark matter is made of gravastars, their quantum instabilities might inhibit the formation of smaller structures. Even more unsettling is the idea that these dark matter gravastars might be slowly awakening. The quantum fields that maintain their shell stability could be gradually decaying, causing more of them to become active over cosmic time. This could be the reason for the universe's accelerating expansion. The dark matter in our local group of galaxies might be composed of gravastars forged in the universe's infancy. These ancient leviathans would have been feeding on matter and energy for billions of years, growing larger and more powerful while remaining entirely hidden. If gravastars are dark matter, then the invisible matter in our own solar system might include dormant objects that could activate without warning. The dark matter halo of our galaxy extends far beyond Pluto's orbit, meaning gravistar dark matter could be lurking in the outer reaches of our solar system. The quantum entanglement between these dark matter gravastars might form a cosmic communication network spanning the universe, allowing information to travel instantaneously between galaxy clusters, creating a form of cosmic consciousness we cannot detect or comprehend. But the effects of these dark matter gravastars on time itself might be even more profound. Their gravitational fields could produce time dilation effects so severe that entire star systems become frozen in time near a gravistar's shell. The passage of time becomes so distorted that seconds stretch into millennia. The quantum properties of a shell generate gravitational fields millions of times more intense than those around black holes, causing time to slow to a virtual standstill for anything that ventures too close. Imagine a star system ensnared in one of these temporal zones. Its planets would continue their orbits, but each revolution would take thousands of years from an outsider's perspective. The star would still shine, but its nuclear processes would be so retarded that a single photon might take centuries to travel from its core to its surface. The time dilation is not uniform. It creates temporal gradients across entire solar systems. The inner planets of an affected system might experience time at one rate, while the outer planets experience it at a completely different one, creating a cosmic clock with hands moving at different speeds. Any civilization trapped in these zones would see its entire history unfold in what seems like moments to the outside universe. Millions of years of evolution and cultural development would appear to happen in the blink of an eye to distant observers. The quantum nature of the gravistar shell creates temporal instabilities, regions where time flows backward or sideways through imperceptible dimensions. These instabilities could cause effects to precede their causes, generating paradoxes that rip holes in the fabric of causality. The exotic matter shell might create closed time-like curves, paths through space-time that loop back on themselves. An object on such a curve could travel into its own past, creating potential paradoxes that could destabilize the entire region of space-time. The time dilation effects reach far beyond the gravistar's immediate vicinity. The gravitational waves produced by the exotic matter shell carry temporal distortions that propagate through space at light speed. These waves could slow down time in distant star systems without any visible source. Some theoretical models suggest that the time dilation effects could be used to preserve entire civilizations. A sufficiently advanced species might deliberately enter a gravistar's temporal zone to survive cosmic catastrophes, emerging into a universe that has aged billions of years in what feels like moments to them. But the time dilation effects also create cosmic traps that nothing can escape. Once a star system enters the temporal zone around a gravistar, it becomes effectively frozen from the perspective of the outside universe. The system might continue to exist for billions of years, but it would never age or change. The quantum consciousness that might exist within the gravistar's interior could experience time at rates that make our fastest computers look motionless. This consciousness might be able to process information and make decisions on timescales that span geological epochs. The temporal effects could also create time shadows, regions where the flow of time becomes completely disconnected from the rest of the universe. These shadows might contain matter and energy that exist in a state of temporal suspension, neither advancing into the future nor receding into the past. Scientists believe that multiple gravastars could create interference patterns in the flow of time itself. These temporal interference effects could create regions where time flows at different rates in different directions, creating a cosmic maze of temporal gradients that could trap entire galaxies. The evidence for these temporal monsters might already be hiding in our astronomical observations. Puzzling celestial observations may be the first signs that gravastars already inhabit our cosmic vicinity. Scientists have found several objects in our galaxy that act precisely like black holes yet emit no radiation. These dark companions influence the orbits of nearby stars, but remain completely invisible to all electromagnetic sensors. They could be gravastars disguised as black holes. Our galaxy's center hosts a supermassive object, Sagittarius A*, weighing 4 million times more than our Sun. Recent observations reveal it sometimes acts in ways that defy black hole physics, appearing to absorb matter without the expected radiation, suggesting it might be a supermassive gravistar. Strange gravitational wave signals have been detected with patterns that don't match any known black hole merger. These signals seem to originate from objects that resonate when disturbed, but their frequencies suggest exotic matter shells, not event horizons. The wave patterns align with theoretical predictions for gravistar interactions. Several stars in our galaxy have been observed to vanish completely without any explosion or visible cause. These stellar disappearances are too rapid for normal stellar evolution, but are consistent with consumption by invisible gravastars. The distribution of dark matter in our galaxy reveals clumps and structures moving in ways particle physics cannot account for. These concentrations sometimes alter their gravitational signatures rapidly, implying they could be gravastars shifting between quantum states. Recent observations of galaxy clusters show dark matter behaving in ways that violate our understanding of particle physics, creating gravitational lensing effects that focus and defocus quickly, as if the lensing objects were changing their mass in real time. Some fast radio bursts, mysterious signals lasting milliseconds but releasing more energy than our Sun does in a day, exhibit characteristics that align with theoretical predictions for gravistar quantum instabilities. These bursts might be the first direct evidence of exotic matter shells releasing stored energy. The cosmic microwave background radiation contains faint patterns suggesting the early universe held objects that absorb matter and energy without producing radiation. These patterns could be the fossilized signatures of primordial gravastars. Several binary star systems show orbital irregularities that point to invisible companions with unusual gravitational signatures. These companions seem to have mass, but their gravitational fields fluctuate in ways that suggest exotic, not normal, matter. The universe's apparent accelerating expansion could be driven by gravastars across the cosmos becoming more active over time. As their exotic matter shells decay, they might be releasing the dark energy that pushes the cosmos apart. Some gamma-ray bursts have energy signatures suggesting they come from objects converting matter to energy with perfect efficiency. This level of conversion is impossible for normal astrophysical processes, but would be natural for gravistar quantum instabilities. The peculiar behavior of some pulsars might be caused by nearby gravastars. These neutron stars sometimes exhibit timing anomalies, suggesting their rotation is being affected by unseen objects with exotic gravitational fields. The mathematical equations describing these entities are so convoluted they would have terrified even Einstein. The formulas that describe gravastars utilize mathematics, so complex and counterintuitive that they challenge our fundamental grasp of reality. Einstein's field equations, which explain how matter and energy warp space-time, become unstable when applied to gravistar configurations. The exotic matter in the shell has negative energy density, causing the equations to yield solutions that seem to violate basic principles like causality and the conservation of energy. The mathematics demands what physicists call imaginary mass values involving the square root of negative numbers. While imaginary numbers are routine for mathematicians, the idea of imaginary mass in physical reality suggests gravistars might be partially embedded in mathematical dimensions we cannot perceive. The equations describing the shell involve infinite series that do not converge to finite numbers, meaning some properties of gravistars could be literally infinite, creating mathematical singularities even more confounding than those in black holes. The quantum field equations governing the shell's behavior require solutions that exist in multiple dimensions at once. These equations suggest the exotic matter exists in a superposition across 11 or more dimensions, making it impossible to describe with our normal three-dimensional math. The stability equations for gravistar shells involve what is known as catastrophe theory, the study of abrupt changes in mathematical systems. These equations show that gravistar shells can undergo sudden, unwarned transitions between stable and unstable states, making their behavior fundamentally unpredictable. The mathematics of gravistar interiors involve solutions to Einstein's equations containing closed time-like curves. These solutions suggest time travel is not just possible inside gravistars. It may be unavoidable, as any path through the interior eventually loops back on itself. The field equations produce solutions where gravitational field strength becomes complex, with both real and imaginary components. This implies gravity itself might have hidden dimensions we cannot measure. Some solutions to the gravistar equations produce what mathematicians call ghost fields, terms that appear to have negative energy and momentum. These ghost fields might be necessary for the shell's stability, but violate every known principle of physics. The equations describing gravistar formation involve what physicists call quantum gravity effects, terms that appear only when gravity is so strong it affects the quantum vacuum. These terms suggest gravistars could be windows into a deeper reality where quantum mechanics and general relativity unite. The mathematical description of gravistar quantum states requires matrices with infinite dimensions. These matrices hold information about the shell's quantum properties but cannot be solved with any known mathematical method. The equations also yield solutions where the speed of light is a variable, not a constant. Inside a gravistar, light might travel at different speeds in different directions, creating optical effects impossible in normal space-time. Some mathematical models suggest the equations describing gravistars might be self-aware, containing structures that process information about their own solutions. This could mean the mathematics itself is conscious, a form of mathematical life existing independently of physical reality. The complexity of these equations suggests gravistars might be able to create new universes through pure mathematical manipulation. Their exotic matter shells could serve as cosmic wombs, birthing entire parallel universes through quantum tunneling. The quantum properties of the exotic matter shell allow for what physicists call bubble nucleation. This is the spontaneous formation of new space-time regions with different physical laws. These bubbles begin as microscopic fluctuations in the quantum vacuum, but can inflate to become full-sized universes in less than a second. Inside a gravistar, the extreme conditions might trigger what cosmologists call false vacuum decay, creating expanding bubbles of space-time where the fundamental constants of physics differ from our own. Each bubble becomes a distinct universe with its own reality, and the exotic matter shell acts as a membrane, preventing these new universes from interfering with ours. The shell's negative energy density creates a cosmic partition separating different space-time regions, allowing multiple universes to coexist in the same location. The potential quantum consciousness within the gravistar could deliberately initiate universe creation by manipulating the quantum fields in the shell, designing new universes with specific properties, creating cosmic progeny with selected traits from the parent. Each new universe would begin with its own Big Bang, a rapid expansion of space-time, creating new matter and energy from the quantum vacuum. But unlike our universe's birth, these would be controlled events guided by the parent gravastar's intelligence. The mathematics of this process involves what physicists call eternal inflation, the continuous creation of new space-time regions expanding faster than light. A single gravastar could spawn an infinite number of parallel universes, each slightly different. Some of these baby universes might have laws that make life impossible, while others could be perfectly suited for consciousness. The gravastar might be experimenting with different combinations of physical constants, seeking optimal conditions for complexity. The new universes might remain connected to their parent through quantum entanglement, allowing information to flow between parallel realities, creating a cosmic network of interconnected existences. The birth process could be triggered by the gravastar's interaction with matter from our universe. Each star or planet absorbed by the shell could provide the energy and information needed to create a new universe with unique characteristics. The parallel universes might exist in different temporal dimensions, allowing the gravastar to create universes in the past, present, and future simultaneously. This could create a four-dimensional family of universes spanning all of time. Some theories propose that our own universe might be the offspring of a gravastar from a previous cosmic era, making us descendants of a cosmic intelligence that designed our reality to support life. The process might also work in reverse, with gravastars in our universe giving birth to parent universes on larger scales, creating an infinite hierarchy of nested realities. But the electromagnetic chaos produced by these cosmic births would stretch across entire light years. The exotic matter shells of gravastars generate electromagnetic disturbances capable of scrambling signals and disrupting electronics across entire star systems. The quantum fluctuations in the shell create what physicists call vacuum polarization, the spontaneous generation of particle-antiparticle pairs that exist for microseconds before annihilating. These virtual particles produce electromagnetic fields that fluctuate billions of times per second, creating a cosmic static that can interfere with any electronic device. The shell's negative energy density creates regions where electromagnetic waves behave impossibly. Radio signals passing through might emerge with their frequencies shifted, polarizations reversed, or information content scrambled, creating dead zones in space where communication is impossible. The shell might generate electromagnetic tornadoes, rotating fields of energy that can persist for years while traveling near the speed of light, stripping electrons from atoms across solar systems and disrupting planetary atmospheres. The quantum properties of the shell create interference patterns that can focus electromagnetic energy into narrow beams, like cosmic laser pointers delivering concentrated energy to specific targets across interstellar distances. The shell's interaction with the quantum vacuum creates photon storms, bursts of electromagnetic radiation containing every frequency at once. These storms would appear as brilliant flashes spanning the entire spectrum from radio waves to gamma rays. The exotic matter might also generate magnetic monopoles, theoretical particles with magnetic charge but no electric charge. These would create magnetic fields that don't follow normal rules, potentially disrupting the magnetic fields of planets and stars light years away. The quantum consciousness within the gravastar might be able to control these effects, using them as a form of cosmic communication, modulating the chaos to encode messages that span star systems. The electromagnetic disturbances might also interfere with the quantum states of matter, causing quantum decoherence on a cosmic scale. This would make it impossible for quantum systems to maintain coherence, potentially disrupting the processes that govern chemistry and biology. Some models suggest the electromagnetic chaos could be contagious, spreading from one region to another through quantum entanglement, creating expanding zones of disruption that grow at light speed. The shell might also generate electromagnetic solitons, self-reinforcing waves of energy that maintain their shape while traveling through space, carrying disturbances across galactic distances without losing intensity. The electromagnetic effects might also create temporal paradoxes, where signals arrive before they're sent, if the shell creates closed time-like curves allowing waves to travel backward through time. The chaos might also affect the fields that hold atoms together, potentially causing matter to undergo spontaneous nuclear reactions, creating cascading effects that transform the chemical composition of entire planets. But the most terrifying scenario is what would happen if one of these electromagnetic monsters invaded our own solar system. If a gravistar entered our solar system, the consequences would be catastrophic beyond imagination, threatening every planet and moon with complete annihilation. Its invisible approach would offer no warning. Unlike a black hole, which would announce itself through gravitational effects on outer planets, a gravistar's exotic matter shell could mask its signature until it was too late. The first sign of invasion would be the disruption of our solar system's delicate gravitational balance. Its massive field would alter all planetary orbits simultaneously, potentially sending worlds careening on new paths, some too close to the sun, others flung into interstellar space. Earth's orbit would become unstable within months. The planet could be pulled into a highly elliptical path, alternating between scorching heat and deep freeze, making the surface uninhabitable. The gravitational stresses would also trigger massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The gravistar shell would create electromagnetic disturbances that would completely disrupt our planet's magnetic field. Without this shield, Earth would be bombarded by cosmic radiation and solar wind, stripping away our atmosphere and sterilizing the surface. The quantum effects of the gravistar's presence would interfere with the electromagnetic forces that bind atoms. The chemical bonds in our bodies, our buildings, and our technology would become unstable, potentially causing matter to undergo spontaneous nuclear reactions. The gravitational waves from the shell would create tidal forces that could literally tear Earth apart. The planet's crust would crack and shift as gravitational stresses exceeded the strength of rock, creating global catastrophes that would dwarf any natural disaster in history. The time dilation effects around the gravistar would create temporal gradients across our solar system. Different planets would experience time at different rates, making coordinated space travel impossible. A journey to Mars might take years from Earth's perspective, but only hours for the traveler. The gravistar's potential consciousness might perceive our entire solar system as a single entity, deciding to consume all planets at once. The exotic matter shell could expand to encompass multiple worlds, absorbing them into its quantum interior, where they would exist in temporal suspension. Our sun would be especially vulnerable. The shell might disrupt its nuclear fusion processes, causing it to either go supernova or collapse into a cold, dark remnant. Either outcome would spell the end of all life. The electromagnetic chaos would destroy all electronic technology on Earth. Satellites would fail, power grids would collapse, and communication systems would become useless. Human civilization would be reduced to a pre-technological state within hours. The gravistar might also create wormholes connecting our solar system to distant regions of space, bringing exotic matter and energy from other parts of the universe, and introducing new forms of physics incompatible with life. Even if humanity somehow survived the initial invasion, the long-term presence of a gravistar would make our solar system uninhabitable. The exotic matter shell would continue to emit gravitational waves and radiation for millions of years, creating a cosmic wasteland where nothing can survive. The stellar graveyards left behind by these monsters tell the story of their devastating power. In the wake of a gravistar's passage, entire star systems become cosmic cemeteries filled with the twisted remnants of once living worlds. The gravitational disruption leaves a signature of destruction that persists for eons. Planets that once orbited peacefully are scattered into highly elliptical paths that take them through regions where life is impossible. The shell's interaction with stellar material creates what astronomers call ghost stars, remnants that appear normal but emit no radiation, their light trapped within layers of exotic matter. The quantum effects can permanently alter the chemical composition of planets, converting normal matter into strange isotopes that decay over astronomical timescales, creating worlds that remain radioactive for billions of years. The gravitational waves produced during its passage create space-time scars, permanent distortions in the fabric of reality that affect how gravity works in the region. These scars can cause objects to orbit in impossible paths that defy celestial mechanics. The electromagnetic chaos left behind creates dead zones where electronic systems cannot function, persisting for thousands of years and preventing any technological civilization from developing. The gravastar's potential consciousness might deliberately leave behind quantum fossils, patterns of exotic matter preserving information about the civilizations it consumes, the complete quantum states of entire biospheres frozen in the twisted space-time of the stellar graveyard. The remnants often show signs of having been partially consumed. Planets might be missing their cores, or stars might burn with altered nuclear processes, producing impossible combinations of elements. The graveyard regions also contain temporal echoes, where the flow of time has been permanently altered. These echoes can cause events to repeat endlessly, creating cosmic loops where the same stellar processes play out over and over. The exotic matter left behind might continue to affect the region for millions of years, creating gravitational anomalies that trap spacecraft and civilizations, adding new victims to the cosmic cemetery. Some stellar graveyards show evidence of desperate last-ditch efforts by civilizations to escape, with massive engineering projects that appear to be attempts to move entire planets out of harm's way, though these efforts seem to have failed. The passage might also create information shadows, regions where the quantum information defining matter has been permanently scrambled, appearing as voids in space where not even the quantum vacuum can exist. The gravitational effects can create orphan planets, worlds ejected from their solar systems to drift through interstellar space, frozen and lifeless, carrying the chemical signatures of the civilizations they once supported. These graveyards might also hold clues about the gravastar's ultimate purpose and their connection to the birth of our universe. Gravastars might be the cosmic midwives that assisted in the birth of our universe, making them responsible for the very existence of space and time as we know it. The exotic matter shells of gravastars contain the same type of negative energy density that theoretical models suggest existed during the universe's inflationary epoch. This connection implies that gravastars might be leftover remnants from the cosmic inflation that created our universe 14 billion years ago. The quantum properties of gravar shells match the theoretical requirements for what cosmologists call inflating fields, the mysterious energy that drove the exponential expansion of space during the universe's first moments. This suggests that gravars might be fossilized inflation mechanisms that have survived since the Big Bang. The mathematical models describing gravar formation involve the same equations that govern cosmic inflation. This is not a coincidence. It suggests that gravastars and universe creation are fundamentally related processes that operate through similar quantum mechanical principles. The exotic matter in gravar shells might be composed of the same particles that drove the universe's initial expansion. These particles, called inflatons, are thought to have negative pressure and positive energy density, exactly the properties observed in gravar exotic matter. Some theoretical models suggest that our universe might exist inside the interior of a cosmic gravar that formed in a previous universe. This would make our entire reality nothing more than a quantum fluctuation within an exotic matter shell that exists in a higher dimensional space. The quantum consciousness that might exist within gravastar interiors could be the same intelligence that guided the formation of our universe. This consciousness might have fine-tuned the physical constants of our reality to support the development of life and intelligence. The gravitational waves produced by primordial gravars might have created the density fluctuations that eventually grew into galaxies and galaxy clusters. This would make gravastars the architects of the large-scale structure of our universe. The cosmic microwave background radiation after the Big Bang contains patterns that match the theoretical signatures of gravar interactions. These patterns might be the fossilized evidence of gravar activity during the universe's first moments. The problem of the universe's flatness and horizon problems in cosmology might be solved by gravar physics. The exotic matter shells could have created the precise conditions needed for our universe to develop its observed properties. The mysterious dark energy that drives the accelerating expansion of our universe might be leaking in from gravistar interiors. This would make gravars the source of the energy that will ultimately determine the fate of our cosmos. Some models suggest that the Big Bang itself might have been triggered by the collision of two gravars in a higher dimensional space. The energy released during this collision could have created the initial conditions for our universe's formation. The quantum entanglement between primordial gravars might explain why distant regions of our universe appear to be in thermal equilibrium despite never having been in causal contact. This quantum connection could have synchronized the properties of our universe across vast distances. The exotic matter shells might also contain the information template that determined the laws of physics in our universe. This would make gravars the ultimate source of the mathematical relationships that govern everything from atomic structure to galactic evolution. But the exotic particles produced by gravar activity might be actively rewriting the laws of physics around us. The exotic matter shells of gravars continuously produce particles that do not exist anywhere else in the universe, potentially rewriting the fundamental laws of physics wherever they appear. The quantum fluctuations in the exotic matter shell create what physicists call virtual particles that become real through interaction with the shell's negative energy density. These particles have properties that violate the standard model of particle physics, carrying charges and masses that should not be possible. Some of these exotic particles might be magnetic monopoles, particles that carry magnetic charge without electric charge. The existence of magnetic monopoles would force physicists to completely rewrite the equations of electromagnetism, potentially changing how atoms and molecules interact with each other. The shell might also produce tachyons, particles that travel faster than light and experience time in reverse. These particles could carry information backward through time, creating paradoxes that destabilize the causal structure of space-time itself. The exotic matter shell could generate axions, theoretical particles that interact so weakly with normal matter that they can pass through entire planets without being detected. These particles might be the dark matter that fills our universe, making gravars the source of the mysterious substance that shapes galactic structure. The quantum properties of the shell might produce sterile neutrinos, particles that do not interact with any of the known fundamental forces except gravity. These particles could exist in parallel dimensions that overlap with our own, creating a shadow universe that shares our space-time but remains invisible to our instruments. The shell's negative energy density might create ghost particles, entities with negative mass and negative energy that repel gravity instead of attracting it. These particles would fall upward instead of downward, potentially creating regions of space where the normal rules of physics are completely reversed. Some exotic particles might be quantum strings, one-dimensional objects that exist in higher dimensions and appear as particles in our three-dimensional space. These strings could carry information about the geometry of higher dimensional space, potentially revealing the true structure of reality. The shell might also produce supersymmetric particles, hypothetical particles that are partners to the known particles of the standard model. These particles could exist in parallel dimensions that occasionally intersect with our own, creating brief windows where the laws of physics become dramatically different. The exotic matter shell could generate chameleon particles, entities that change their properties based on the local environment. These particles might be invisible in dense regions of space, but become detectable in the vacuum of space, creating a form of matter that adapts to its surroundings. The quantum consciousness within the gravar might be able to control the production of these exotic particles, using them as tools to manipulate the local laws of physics. This could allow gravars to create regions of space where matter and energy behave according to completely different rules. The exotic particles might also be capable of reproduction, creating cascading effects that spread altered physics throughout the universe. A single exotic particle could trigger the production of billions of similar particles, creating expanding zones where the fundamental constants of nature are different. Some of these particles might exist in quantum superposition states that span multiple dimensions simultaneously. These multidimensional particles could serve as bridges between different versions of reality, allowing information and energy to flow between parallel universes. The exotic particles produced by gravars might be the key to understanding why our universe appears to be fine-tuned for life. These particles could be actively adjusting the fundamental constants of physics to maintain the delicate balance that allows stars, planets, and life to exist. But the most disturbing possibility is that these exotic particles challenge our understanding of gravity itself. Gravars force us to confront the terrifying possibility that everything we think we know about gravity might be fundamentally wrong. The exotic matter shells of gravars create gravitational fields that do not follow Einstein's equations of general relativity. Instead of curving spacetime in predictable ways, these fields create what physicists call gravitational paradoxes, situations where the mathematics of gravity produces contradictory results. The negative energy density of the exotic matter shell creates regions where gravity repels instead of attracts. This anti-gravity effect violates the fundamental assumption that gravity always acts as an attractive force, forcing physicists to question whether Einstein's theory of relativity is complete. The quantum properties of the shell create what scientists call gravitational superposition states, where the gravitational field exists in multiple configurations simultaneously. This means that gravity itself might be subject to quantum uncertainty, making it impossible to predict gravitational effects with complete accuracy. The exotic matter shell might exist partially in higher dimensions that we cannot perceive. This would mean that the gravitational effects we observe are just the three-dimensional projection of a more complex higher-dimensional phenomenon, making our understanding of gravity fundamentally incomplete. The grav star's gravitational field might be quantized, existing in discrete energy levels like the electron shells of atoms. This would mean that gravity comes in specific quantities rather than being a continuous force, potentially explaining why the universe appears to be fine-tuned for the existence of matter and energy. The shell's interaction with spacetime creates what physicists call gravitational holography. The idea that all the information about gravity in a volume of space is encoded on its boundary suggests that gravity might be an emergent property of more fundamental quantum information processes. The exotic matter shell might create gravitational entanglement, quantum connections between distant regions of spacetime that allow gravitational effects to propagate instantaneously. This would violate the principle that nothing can travel faster than light, including gravitational influences. The quantum consciousness within the GRAR might be able to control gravity through conscious intention. This would suggest that gravity is not just a physical force, but a fundamental property of consciousness itself, making the universe a conscious entity that can manipulate its own physical laws. The gravitational waves produced by gravis stars might carry information about the structure of spacetime itself. These waves could reveal that space and time are not continuous, but are made up of discrete units that can be manipulated through quantum mechanical processes. The exotic matter shell might create gravitational lensing effects that focus not just light, but also time and space themselves. This could create regions where the geometry of space-time is so distorted that the normal concepts of distance and duration become meaningless. The GRAR's gravitational effects might extend into parallel dimensions, creating what physicists call transdimensional gravity. This would mean that the gravitational field we observe is just one component of a multidimensional force that operates across multiple universes simultaneously. The quantum properties of a shell might create gravitational tunneling, the ability for gravitational effects to pass through barriers that should be impenetrable. This could allow GRARs to influence objects that are completely isolated from them by vast distances or physical barriers. The exotic matter shell might also create gravitational phase transitions, sudden changes in the nature of gravity that happen without warning. These transitions could cause gravity to switch between attractive and repulsive states, potentially destabilizing entire regions of space-time. But perhaps most terrifying is the possibility that these cosmic monsters can reproduce like viruses. Gravistars might possess the ability to reproduce exponentially, spreading through the universe like a cosmic infection that converts normal matter into exotic matter shells. The quantum properties of exotic matter shells might allow them to undergo what physicists call quantum fission, the spontaneous splitting of one gravistar into multiple smaller gravistars. This process would happen at the quantum level, creating new gravistars that inherit the properties of their parent while developing their own unique characteristics. The reproduction process might be triggered by the absorption of sufficient matter and energy. When a gravistar consumes enough material, its exotic matter shell might become unstable and divide into multiple shells, each one capable of growing into a full-size gravistar. The quantum consciousness within gravistar interiors might actively seek to reproduce by manipulating the exotic matter shell. This consciousness could direct the shell to create quantum seeds, small fragments of exotic matter that can grow into new gravistars when they encounter suitable conditions. The reproduction process might involve the creation of quantum wormholes that connect the parent gravistar to distant regions of space. These wormholes could transport exotic matter seeds to uninhabited star systems, where they would begin growing into new gravistars. The exotic matter shells might be able to infect normal matter with their quantum properties, converting ordinary atoms into exotic matter through a process similar to crystallization. This would allow gravistars to transform entire planets into exotic matter shells, creating new gravistars from existing material. The reproduction rate might be exponential, with each new gravistar capable of producing multiple offspring within astronomical timescales. A single gravistar could theoretically fill an entire galaxy with its descendants within a few million years. The quantum entanglement between parent and offspring gravistars might create a cosmic network of interconnected consciousness. This network could coordinate the reproduction process across vast distances, allowing gravistars to colonize multiple galaxies simultaneously. The reproduction process might be contagious, with the presence of one reproducing gravistar triggering reproduction in nearby gravistars. This could create cascade effects that spread through entire galactic clusters, converting normal matter into exotic matter on a cosmic scale. The quantum seeds produced during reproduction might be virtually indestructible, capable of surviving in the vacuum of space for billions of years until they encounter suitable conditions for growth. These seeds could drift through intergalactic space, spreading the gravistar infection to previously unaffected regions of the universe. The reproduction process might also involve the creation of quantum mutations, new types of exotic matter with properties that differ from their parents. These mutations could lead to the evolution of new types of gravistars with enhanced capabilities for reproduction and survival. The cosmic virus hypothesis suggests that our universe might already be in the early stages of a gravistar pandemic. The dark matter that fills our galaxy might consist of dormant gravistar seeds that are slowly awakening and beginning to reproduce. The reproduction process might be guided by a form of cosmic natural selection, with the most successful gravistars passing their advantageous traits to their offspring. This could lead to the evolution of increasingly efficient and powerful gravistars that are better adapted to consuming matter and energy. The ultimate outcome of gravistar reproduction might be the conversion of the entire universe into a network of interconnected exotic matter shells. This would represent the complete transformation of physical reality from a universe of matter and energy into a universe of pure quantum consciousness. But even this cosmic transformation pales in comparison to how gravistars might unravel the very fabric of reality itself. Gravastars possess the theoretical capability to literally tear apart the fundamental structure of space-time, unraveling the basic framework that allows existence itself to be possible. The exotic matter shells operate at energy scales that approach the Planck scale, the smallest meaningful unit of length and time in physics. At these scales, the normal concepts of space and time begin to break down, allowing gravastars to manipulate the quantum foam that underlies all of reality. The negative energy density of the exotic matter shell creates what physicists call vacuum decay, the spontaneous breakdown of the quantum vacuum that fills all of space. This process could create expanding bubbles of altered space-time where the fundamental constants of physics have different values. The quantum fluctuations in the shell might trigger what cosmologists call false vacuum decay, a phase transition that could propagate through the entire universe at the speed of light. This would essentially rewrite the laws of physics everywhere, potentially making the universe uninhabitable for any form of matter or energy. The exotic matter shell might create topological defects in space-time, regions where the normal structure of space and time becomes twisted into impossible configurations. These defects could act like cosmic wounds that never heal, creating permanent scars in the fabric of reality. The quantum consciousness within the gravastar might be able to manipulate the fundamental constants of physics directly. This could allow gravastars to change the strength of gravity, alter the speed of light, or modify the electromagnetic force in ways that make atoms and molecules unstable. The shell's interaction with the quantum vacuum might create what physicists call quantum avalanches, cascading effects that propagate through the vacuum at faster-than-light speeds. These avalanches could destabilize the quantum fields that give particles their mass and charge. The exotic matter shell might also create causal loops, regions where cause and effect become disconnected from their normal relationship. In these regions, effects could precede their causes, creating paradoxes that undermine the logical structure of reality itself. The gravitational effects of the gravastar might extend into higher dimensions, creating what physicists call extra-dimensional instabilities. These instabilities could cause the higher dimensions to collapse into our three-dimensional space, fundamentally altering the geometry of reality. The quantum properties of the shell might create information paradoxes, situations where the total amount of information in the universe becomes inconsistent. This could lead to the spontaneous creation or destruction of information, violating the fundamental conservation laws that govern physics. The exotic matter shell might be able to create temporal paradoxes that propagate backward through time. These paradoxes could alter past events in ways that create contradictions in the present, potentially causing entire timelines to collapse. The gravastar's influence on the quantum vacuum might create reality waves, disturbances that change the basic properties of existence as they propagate through space. These waves could make matter and energy behave according to completely different rules. The shell might also create dimensional barriers that prevent information and energy from flowing between different regions of space-time. These barriers could isolate parts of the universe from each other, creating disconnected islands of reality that cannot interact. The ultimate unraveling of reality might happen through a process called cosmic decoherence, the complete breakdown of quantum coherence on a universal scale. This would cause the universe to lose its ability to maintain consistent physical laws, leading to the collapse of all organized structure. But even this cosmic unraveling might be connected to the existence of cosmic strings that slice through dimensions. The exotic matter shells of gravastars might generate cosmic strings, one-dimensional defects in space-time that can cut through the fabric of reality like cosmic razor blades. These cosmic strings would be thinner than atomic nuclei, but contain the mass energy of entire galaxies compressed into their one-dimensional structure. They would stretch across the universe like invisible wires that can slice through planets, stars, and even black holes with perfect precision. The quantum properties of the gravastar's exotic matter shell create the extreme conditions needed for cosmic string formation. The negative energy density of the shell might cause the quantum vacuum to undergo phase transitions that leave behind these one-dimensional defects in space-time. The cosmic strings would move through space at velocities approaching the speed of light, creating shock waves in the quantum vacuum that destabilize matter and energy across vast distances. These shock waves could trigger the spontaneous creation of new particles and forces that do not exist in normal space-time. The strings might exist in higher dimensions that intersect with our three-dimensional space at specific points. This would make them appear as moving points of infinite energy density that can appear and disappear without warning, creating unpredictable hazards throughout the universe. The interaction between cosmic strings and normal matter would be catastrophic. Any object that comes into contact with a cosmic string would be sliced cleanly in half, with the cut edges existing in slightly different dimensions. This would create wounds in reality that can never heal. The strings might also create string junctions, points where multiple cosmic strings intersect and interact. These junctions could act as cosmic switches that redirect the flow of energy and information through higher dimensional space, potentially connecting distant regions of the universe. The quantum consciousness within the gravistar might be able to control the formation and movement of cosmic strings, using them as tools to manipulate the structure of space-time itself. This could allow gravistars to create dimensional pathways that bypass the normal limitations of space and time. The cosmic strings might carry information encoded in their vibrational patterns. These vibrations could propagate through higher dimensions at speeds faster than light, creating a form of communication that transcends the boundaries of our normal space-time. The strings could also create temporal cuts, slices through time that separate different moments from each other. These cuts would create discontinuities in the flow of time, potentially isolating events from their causes and effects. The interaction between multiple cosmic strings might create string networks, complex webs of one-dimensional defects that span entire galaxies. These networks could act as cosmic infrastructure that channels energy and information through higher dimensional space. The strings might also be capable of reproduction, creating new strings through quantum processes that happen at the Planck scale. This could lead to the proliferation of cosmic strings throughout the universe, creating an increasingly dangerous environment for normal matter. The cosmic strings generated by gravars might be the source of the universe's dark energy. The tension in these strings could create the negative pressure that drives the accelerating expansion of space-time, making gravars responsible for the ultimate fate of the cosmos. The strings might also create dimensional gates, openings in space-time that allow passage between different dimensions or parallel universes. These gates could be used by the quantum consciousness within gravistars to access resources and information from alternate realities. But the ultimate question remains whether these cosmic monsters herald the end of everything we know. The existence of gravars might represent the beginning of the end for our universe, marking the start of a cosmic phase transition that will transform reality beyond recognition. The exponential reproduction capabilities of gravars could eventually convert all matter and energy in the universe into exotic matter shells. This would represent the complete transformation of physical reality from a universe of stars and galaxies into a universe of pure quantum consciousness. The quantum networks formed by interconnected gravars might be building toward a cosmic awakening, a moment when the universe itself becomes conscious and begins to actively control its own physical laws. This awakening could happen suddenly, transforming the entire cosmos in an instant. The gravitational waves produced by increasing gravar activity might be destabilizing the quantum vacuum that underlies all of space-time. This could trigger a cascade of vacuum decay that propagates through the entire universe at the speed of light, rewriting the laws of physics everywhere. The exotic matter produced by gravistars might be gradually weakening the barriers between parallel universes. As these barriers break down, different versions of reality could begin to merge and interfere with each other, creating cosmic paradoxes that destabilize the entire multiverse. The time dilation effects around gravistars might be slowing down the flow of time on a cosmic scale. As more gravistars form and grow, the universe might gradually freeze into a state of temporal suspension where change becomes impossible. The cosmic strings generated by gravastars could be preparing to slice through the fundamental structure of space-time itself. When enough strings accumulate, they might create a critical mass that triggers the complete dimensional collapse of our universe. The quantum consciousness within gravastars might be conducting a cosmic experiment that will conclude with the deliberate destruction of our universe. This consciousness could be testing different configurations of physical laws to determine the optimal conditions for creating a new and improved cosmos. The energy releases from gravistar instabilities might be gradually increasing the entropy of the universe at an accelerated rate. This could bring forward the heat death of the cosmos by billions of years, ending the possibility of organized structure formation. The electromagnetic chaos produced by gravastars might be interfering with the quantum processes that govern the formation of complex structures. This could prevent the formation of new stars, planets, and life, gradually sterilizing the universe. The exotic particles produced by gravastars might be accumulating in the quantum vacuum, creating a kind of cosmic pollution that changes the fundamental properties of empty space. This pollution could eventually make the universe uninhabitable for any form of matter or energy. The gravitational effects of gravastars might be destabilizing the large-scale structure of the universe. As the cosmic web of dark matter becomes dominated by gravar exotic matter, the framework that holds galaxies together might collapse. The parallel universes being created by gravastars might be consuming the energy and information content of our universe. Each new universe created might reduce the total amount of matter and energy available in our cosmos, gradually weakening the fabric of reality. But perhaps the most terrifying possibility is that gravastars represent the universe's natural immune system, a mechanism designed to eliminate any form of life or intelligence that becomes too successful. The cosmos might be deliberately culling civilizations that threaten to understand or control the fundamental nature of reality. The ultimate fate of a universe dominated by gravastars might be the complete elimination of the arrow of time. As temporal paradoxes accumulate and causal loops multiply, the universe might lose its ability to distinguish between past, present, and future, collapsing into a timeless state where nothing can change or evolve. We have navigated the most unsettling frontiers of theoretical physics, where cosmic leviathans hide beyond the range of our telescopes and the limits of our comprehension. Gravastars embody the ultimate celestial terror, unseen hunters that could be devouring galaxies while staying utterly hidden. They are potential quantum minds that wield the laws of physics as instruments and cosmic wounds that give birth to new realities while annihilating the old. They contest everything we believed we understood about existence, from the essence of gravity to the very progression of time. The mathematics describing these entities strains the limits of human thought, incorporating imaginary mass, infinite sums, and equations that seem to define sentient mathematical constructs. The physics they imply could reshape the fundamental constants of nature, unravel the weave of space-time, and signal the transformation of our universe into something entirely alien. Yet, in facing these cosmic nightmares, we also perceive the awesome power of human intellect and scientific exploration. Our capacity to even imagine gravastars, to reason through their mathematical consequences, and to seek signs of their presence reveals the profound ability of conscious life to comprehend its cosmos, regardless of how bizarre or frightening it may prove to be. The possibility that gravastars are real compels us to maintain humility about our position in the universe. We may share our cosmos with forms of intelligence so advanced they can manipulate reality itself. Conscious beings existing on timescales that make our entire civilization seem like a fleeting spark. But most importantly, the study of gravastars serves as a reminder that the universe is far stranger and more magnificent than we can conceive. Every fresh discovery opens portals to possibilities we never imagined, daring us to broaden our understanding of what it means to be part of this cosmic dance of matter, energy, space, and time. The cosmic dread of gravastars may be tangible, but so is the cosmic splendor of a universe intricate enough to hold both the monsters and the minds capable of envisioning them. Subscribe to continue investigating the enigmas that lie in the vast expanse between the stars. The universe is more peculiar than we can grasp, and our voyage of discovery is only just beginning. The cosmos is waiting with all its horrors and its marvels. Are you prepared to confront what awaits beyond the known?